transform the world today. The World Today. On Monday, only on Telesur. Events told by their main figures. Research findings that transcend our people's views.
Monsanto se ve entre un buen sector de los agricultores como una gran amenaza.
Hay un montón de gente que se va a España a trabajar, a otro sitio a trabajar. No tienes que estar aquí siempre para que ayude a tu pueblo.
Desde entonces estoy buscando a mi nieto. Por gente liberada, he sabido que es un varón. Hace poco ha cumplido 6 años. Alguien lo tiene.
No somos simples estudiantes que venimos, entramos, escuchamos la clase de un profesor y después nos levantamos y nos vamos, sino que entendemos lo que pasa y sobre todo tenemos que ser sujetos de cambio frente a lo que pasa y tenemos que tener un rol en nuestra educación y en nuestra sociedad.
Telesur Report on Monday, only on Telesur. Community organization and revolutionary verse fused in And Don't Stop. A window to urban culture and political resistance, conducted by the hip-hop band Rebel Deers. And Don't Stop, Friday, only on Telesur. Closely follow the most important facts around the world with a wholesome view. We offer you to be where the news are happening with our team of 25 correspondents deployed around the globe. Live and experience the realities of our people from the South. Monday to Friday, just in Telesur. Our North is the South.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Telesur English. This is From the South, our news brief from Caracas, Venezuela. I'm Ray Gomez and we start this new edition right now. Spain's Constitutional Court has barred next Monday's planned session of the Catalan Parliament in a move to stop the push for independence. The court said that the session would be a, quote, breach of the constitution. The court's ruling supported a challenge by Catalonian Socialist Party, who are against the split from Spain. According to the court, allowing the Catalan Parliament to meet would violate the rights of the party's MPs. Catalan President Carles Puigdemont has said the parliament was planning to announce Catalonia's independence from Spain to Monday. Telesur Joan Ortiz Zara has the latest from Barcelona.
¿Qué tal, compañeros? Saludos desde Barcelona. En efecto,
Here in Barcelona, there was due to be an extraordinary session of the regional parliament next Monday. But according to the Spanish courts, that won't happen. The Constitutional Court has suspended it. This is very unusual that a Constitutional Court should suspend a parliamentary meeting. What's more, it has suspended it even before the session had been formally called and notified to the members of the regional parliament. We should remember that this is the session at which the Catalan president, Carles Puigdemont, was going to explain to the members of parliament how the results of last Sunday's independence referendum would be applied. And it was also possible that the session would declare the independence of Catalonia. This was meant to happen either at the end of this week or the beginning of next week, according to the separation laws. The process of counting the votes from the referendum is also being completed, including the votes from abroad, and the declaration of independence can only happen 48 hours after that. So that is the news, and we will have to see if the session happens or not. In the course of the day, we also learnt that the Sabadell Bank will move its head offices out of Catalonia to continue to benefit from the benefits enjoyed by banks operating in the Eurozone. The Spanish Prime Minister, Mariano Rajoy, has warned the Catalan leader, Carles Puigdemont, to forget any idea of declaring independence.
Thank you, Joan. Joan Ortiz Zara from Barcelona, Catalonia. The Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro has traveled from Belarus to Turkey on the latest leg of his trip to diversify Venezuela's economic relations and discuss the global energy market. Maduro held talks with the Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. Venezuela and Belarus have developed close economic collaboration since 2006, when they signed their first cooperation agreement. The two presidents discussed new projects in the areas of housing and auto manufacturing, as well as oil and gas. Before Minsk, President Maduro was in Moscow for the Russian Energy Forum. He also held a meeting with President Vladimir Putin to reaffirm the alliance between Venezuela and Russia.
We see that Venezuela is going through difficult times. The impression is that you still manage to establish some kind of contact with those political forces that are opposing you. But work between our countries is being continued, including in regards to the economy.
It seems to me that now everything is fine with us. We're moving up. We're coping with our problems and starting to move forward. Now we need to coordinate our plans for cooperation in energy, agriculture, and trade. We're very grateful to you for the final agreement on grain. It has helped us greatly, especially in the social sphere.
Our correspondent Hansel Oro is in Moscow at the Russian Energy Forum, which is still taking place. Hansel?
Hola, un saludo para ti y para toda nuestra teleaudiencia.
Under the principle of energy efficiency and development, the third session of the Energy Week is taking place here in Russia, in the cities of St. Petersburg and Moscow. The delegates here are discussing several key issues, like how to create an alternative to fossil fuels with renewable energy sources. It's been said that Russia is currently a pioneer in renewable sources because it has developed in the Republic of Altai the first solar energy power station, using a variety of technologies on an industrial scale. This was built by Russian solar energy company, and it is now being studied by a list of countries including Japan and South Korea. The session also discussed the idea of maintaining the agreements between OPEC and non-OPEC members on reducing oil production through until March 2018, which was the original agreement, in order to stabilize oil prices in the international market. It was also agreed to update the Arctic Ocean sea route to allow the transport of natural gas to Western Europe and the Asia-Pacific region. This is the information we have for now on this third energy session here in Russia.
Thank you very much, Hansel Oro from Moscow. And we keep speaking about Venezuela. The U.S.-based subsidiary of this country's state oil company, PDVSA, is donating 50,000 barrels of diesel fuel to Puerto Rico to assist with recovery efforts after the island was devastated by Hurricane Maria. The fuel from Citgo Petroleum Corporation will be crucial to power the generators that hospitals and other vital facilities are relying on after the storm took out most of the island's power grid. Citgo also donated fuel to Texas after Hurricane Harvey last month. More news in a minute. Stay with us. Lawyers for Ecuador's jail Vice President Jorge Glass has filed two petitions to have his detention overturned. On Wednesday, President Lenín Moreno named Maria Alejandra Vicuña as his acting vice president, while Glass is in prison. Vicuña was previously Ecuador's housing minister. The lawyers for Glass say the judge who ordered his detention failed to comply with correct procedures. Their second petition is to have Glass's imprisonment changed to house arrest. Let's go live to Quito and my colleague Siine Gray. Hello, Siine. The legal process here is quite complicated. Could you please explain to us what the Vice President's lawyers are saying?
Yeah, so the situation, Ray, in Ecuador is actually pretty complicated. So what we know is that the Vice President Jorge Glass has begun his appeal process. His legal team will be filing 2 lawsuits. The first one will seek to have the pre-detention hold that he's under reduced or altered. They're hoping to either have him placed under house arrest, either have him outfitted with an electronic ankle monitoring device, which will electronically record his whereabouts, or have him report to a judicial authority on a schedule determined by the courts. So that's what the first lawsuit plans to do. The second one actually plans to address the pre-detention hold that he's under completely, but because in Ecuador, they have a specified legal period with which Attorney General Carlos Baca was to apply for the pre-detention hold for Vice President Jorge Glass and his uncle Ricardo Rivera. That time expired on Sunday. The Vice President's legal team believed that the decision on his pre-detention trial hold should have also been made within that time period, aka Sunday. We know that the case and the decision was made on Monday. So they're hoping to have the decision invalidated. Once it's invalidated, the Vice President would be free to go. So that's where we're at this particular situation. The appeals process has begun. Both lawsuits should be heard tomorrow in the National Court of Justice in Northern Quito, tomorrow at 2:30 or 14:30 Ecuadorian time. So as soon as we get any information on this particular case, the case tomorrow, anything relating to Vice President Jorge Glass and the Odebrecht scandal, we will keep you updated via our Telesur networks. So back to you in Caracas, Ray.
Thank you, Sirini. Interesting. And in Paraguay, the Central Housing Union has held a rally to demand decent housing. Dozens are demonstrating for the right to live decently in the city. They say the government has ignored their needs and only worked to benefit big real estate companies. Our correspondent Osvaldo Sayas was at the protest and sent his report.
Saludos compañeros desde Asunción, Paraguay.
Here in Asunción, Paraguay, the Central Housing Union and also local organizations from housing developments near the banks of the river Paraguay have gathered in front of the Public Works Ministry to demand the right to a decent home, the right to live in the city. They're asking to speak to the Public Works Minister who's leading the building of a new riverside development. They want proper houses and they want this big project to be carried out with the participation of their communities. Also, the Housing Union has been asking constantly for the approval of projects and proposals from these communities who want to build in the city of Asunción. They say the government of Horacio Cartes is a government that has benefited big real estate developments and hasn't focused on meeting the needs of the majority, which is why there has been no response to their demands for housing. Back to you in the studio.
Okay, Osvaldo, thank you. Several days of commemoration are underway in Bolivia to mark the 50th anniversary of the death of Che Guevara on October the 9th. Che was captured and killed in Valle Grande by Bolivian special forces supported by the CIA. He had left Cuba to launch a guerrilla struggle in Bolivia the year before. His aim was to trigger a revolutionary upsurge across South America, but the failure to win support among local campesinos and from the Bolivian Communist Party resulted in his defeat. We'll be back very soon. Stay with us. We now go to Palestine, where authorities are working to keep the health system working in spite of the Israeli siege that has taken over 10 years. Noor Harrison has the story.
Palestinian Prime Minister Rami al-Hamdallah on Thursday paid a tour visit to the Ashifa medical compound in Gaza City to observe closely the deteriorating conditions of the health sector in the blockaded Gaza Strip. More than 10 years of Israeli siege coupled with crippling electricity cuts have pushed the Strip's health system close to failure. According to the Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor, hospitals in Gaza are suffering from an acute shortage of medicines, medical equipment, and specialized staff since the first half of 2017.
Prime Minister has visited Palestine's medical compound to observe closely the situation of patients in the Gaza Strip. Even during division, the health ministry provided the hospitals of Gaza with the needed medicines and medical equipment. I can guarantee that the medical referral department is set to improve its services.
Over the past few months, a remarkable backlog in the number of Gazan patients requiring urgent medical referrals to hospitals outside the Strip has been reported. The decrease in medical referrals outside the Strip foreshadowed a definite collapse of the health sector in Gaza. However, the positive atmosphere which currently prevails in Gaza among residents as official meetings for the reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas kicked off Monday raises hope that one of Gaza's main crises might see a breakthrough. Nuhara Zain, Trisu TV, Gaza.
And here's a roundup of news from around the world.
The King of Saudi Arabia, Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, met with the Russian President Vladimir Putin in what was his first ever visit to the country. The two leaders met in the Grand Kremlin Palace in Moscow, where they began bilateral talks on a range of topics, which are expected to focus heavily on trade cooperation in energy and infrastructure construction. The reigning Saudi monarch is set to sign economic trade deals, which are estimated to be in the billions. Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the son of late Philippine dictator Ferdinand Marcos Sr., has declared his open ambitions to oust the current vice president of the country in a move which could see the Marcos family back in power. Marcos Jr. also confirmed that he was in talks with the current president Rodrigo Duterte to end a government-led lawsuit which has haunted the Marcos family for decades, over billions of dollars allegedly stolen during the late leader's reign. During a press conference, Marcos Jr. reiterated his support for the current president, Rodrigo Duterte, who he deems as a key political ally.
They're not working for the good of the country, they're working for the good of their party. That is the difference between Duterte and his opposition. He is trying to work for, nakikita ng taong bayan that Duterte is working in the national interest. Whether or not you agree with him, I think that people can see he sincerely wants to make things better.
Large areas of Portugal, which remain devastated after forest fires plagued the countryside earlier this year, could be given a new lease of life with a new initiative which will see scorched areas turned into economical, prosperous farming sites. Locals are calling for government support regarding federal grants and tax incentives for landowners who will rejuvenate the land for commercial farming and forestry projects. 64 people died earlier this year in what was Portugal's deadliest natural disaster in living memory. The town of Macau, which stood at the epicenter of the fires, remains a key site for this new initiative.
I am convinced that in a municipality of the size of Macau, with 15 to 20 million euros, we could start this process very quickly and reverse these big fires.
Rohingya refugees fleeing the latest violence in Myanmar continue to arrive in neighbouring Bangladesh by boat, despite the recent tragedy where up to 60 refugees drowned after their boat capsized in the Bay of Bengal. The latest influx comes despite Bangladeshi authorities destroying ferries used by smugglers in efforts to deter refugees making the dangerous journey. 16 years after US forces led a campaign to topple the Taliban government following the September 11th attacks, Afghans reflect on the current predicament of their country. US President Donald Trump committed the United States to a further involvement in the war-ridden country on August 21st of this year. In the first 6 months of 2017, at least 1,662 civilians have been killed, and hundreds of thousands continue to flee. Will Afghans finally find peace?
We have witnessed a lot of changes in our life in the last 16 years. We can work outside, and we have had the chance to go to school and study at university. And we have had the chance to serve our people and our country.
We've come to the end of this news brief. These and many other news, you can find them on our website at telesurtv.net/English. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Ray Thomas. Thank you for watching.
Events told by their main figures. Research findings that transcend our people's views.
Monsanto se ve entre un buen sector de los agricultores como una gran amenaza.
Hay un montón de gente que se va a España a trabajar, a otro sitio a trabajar. No tienes que estar aquí siempre para que ayude a tu pueblo.
Desde entonces estoy buscando a mi nieto. Por gente liberada, he sabido que es un varón. Hace poco ha cumplido 6 años. Alguien lo tiene.
No somos simples estudiantes que venimos, entramos, escuchamos la clase de un profesor y después nos levantamos y nos vamos, sino que entendemos lo que pasa y sobre todo tenemos que ser sujetos de cambio frente a lo que pasa y tenemos que tener un rol en nuestra educación y en nuestra sociedad.
Telesur Report on Monday, only on Telesur. Closely follow the most important facts around the world with a wholesome view. We offer you to